Oh, wow. We are live. We are live. Welcome. Welcome to the Seek Elevation experience with yours truly, attorney Ella Keisha. Seek Elevation has a podcast already, and we also have videos that are up on YouTube. We took a break from last season. We took a break and we're back now. We're back now, 2025. This is the first segment in 2025. And what I decided to do differently in 2025 is go live. And in addition to um, the podcasts that you can hear on all streaming networks, in addition to seeing the videos that will be recorded and made available on YouTube, we're now going to have live conversations because this is a channel where real issues, real people, and real conversations take center stage because change doesn't happen with us being silent. And doing the podcast and letting people just listen and doing the recordings and letting people just watch doesn't allow for open dialogue. So growth happens in the exchange. And I want to see growth happen, not just for individuals to hear something and hopefully pick up what I'm putting down, but to also just have exchange, to agree to disagree, to hear something that, just is an aha moment that sparks something. And so that's why I decided to go live. And this is the first one. And I didn't even do a lead up to the first one. I'm going to send out a couple of invitations. I just went hot. I just went live. I just decided that I'm going to go ahead and go live, and throughout each week, every Tuesday, I'll be here 7:00 throughout each week. We'll continue to grow together. I'll do the announcements ahead of time and all that great stuff. But today, we just went for it. I'm going to send out a couple of invitations. And we're going to keep it rolling. I should be live on, I'm going to go live on all of my platforms, but right now I should be live on YouTube and on my Seek Elevation Facebook page. I'll eventually add the Instagram page and the LinkedIn page. So, and just go live all at once. So we can also pull in diverse audiences. So here on Seek Elevation, again, you will get the Seek Elevation experiences from these conversations, from sports and entertainment to business and community. I mean, we break down the truth, sparking meaningful change and to elevate voices that need to be heard. Again, I'm your host, attorney Ella Keisha, and in this space, we don't just talk. I don't want us to just talk. We empower, we inspire, and challenge the status quo. So whether you're an athlete, an entertainer, a business leader, or someone striving for a better life, this conversation is for you. So I want us to tap in every week and let's make impact together. What do I want to talk about today? Let me get to that. What I want to talk about today. It's been a lot of conversation about the Super Bowl. Various conversations from the actual game itself, Eagles pulling it off, Jalen Hurts looking absolutely amazing, all the way to Kendrick Lamar's performance, of course. And there were mixed emotions on that as far as Kendrick Lamar's performance. And I thought it was unfortunate, honestly, but not surprising about the mixed emotions. I think a lot of times we are so caught up in wanting to be entertained that we can miss greatness that is happening a lot of times if it falls short of entertainment. And I did see someone compare when Beyonce did the Super Bowl, and she also had a message in her Super Bowl performance, you know, dressed in the all black, the Black Panther, dressed in all black, doing great stuff, and they still felt it was entertaining. But even with that said, there are individuals who had something to say about that. They felt it wasn't entertaining, it was overrated. We're always finding something to pick apart instead of getting and grasping and running with the message that can actually elevate us. And I thought Kendrick Lamar performance was exceptional. I thought it was very genius from beginning to end. I mean, to start out with the point of illusion, like illusion. That's where we're always caught up in everything that we see. We caught up in the illusion of something and making it a reality. That illusion of how many people were coming out of his car and then him even saying that. It was just deep from beginning all the way to the end with Samuel L. Jackson throughout. It was actually amazing. But while we listen to the messages, it's not just about listening to it, it's about doing something with it and putting ourselves in a position to do something with it. Everyone doesn't have to be the same position. We can all take on different positions and do our parts. But specifically, I assist individuals in the entertainment sector, the sports sector, the business sector, and in real estate. And in all of those areas, we're talking about ownership. And to position ourselves to do anything differently, to make impact like we want to make, we have to position ourselves to actually have leverage. And one of the ways to have leverage is through ownership. And so this segment, I definitely want to talk about not just being afforded opportunities to have platforms to encourage and speak about change, but also to put ourselves in a position to actually effectuate change. And to my athletes and to my entertainers and business owners, I'm really talking about you. I want us to really focus on something that's not taught to you about what you look out for in a contract. If you ever have dialogue about a contract, you're probably speaking about, you know, those things about how much money you're making, possibly what you're giving up, what you're not giving up, what are the obligations, what are your rights. But the one thing we don't talk about is how to be the CEO of you. If you think about and you focus on and you primarily put that in the forefront, being the CEO of you, it will help you to process everything differently. It will help you to go into it and look at the contractual terms differently. But more importantly, it will encourage you to bring on the right team and individuals to put those extra eyes on a contract and not just try to do it yourself. And I see this a lot. You wouldn't focus on, I'm just going to sign this because I'm excited about what this opportunity is. CEOs don't do that because CEOs understand that fame fades, but ownership lasts. And CEOs focus on not trying to strike a deal with fame, but trying to strike a deal that's going to put them in the best position to own. So it is very important for athletes and entertainers and Of course, as a business owner, that's what you are, right? You're an entrepreneur. You're a business owner. What are you owning? And to be honest with you, as an athlete and as an entertainer, because you are the CEO of you also are a business owner. And the product and our service is what comes from you. And so we have to treat, ourselves as such. I'm also a former elite athlete, and there was a lot that I've learned throughout my time competing in track and field. I graduated from, the University of South Carolina, went on to compete for Nike, and then, a lot of things just morphed. And there's so much that I've learned during my time of my competitive years, more so off of the track than on the track. I learned a lot about the business side of sports. You have sports entertainment, you have sports the business. And if you don't understand the intricacies off of the track, the field, the court, whatever it is, then what you're doing will definitely be short-lived. There are so many times, and we always talk about, if I just made, so much money, if I just made this, I just made that, everything would be okay. If that was the case, we wouldn't have the same stories over and over again of athletes making millions and millions of dollars and losing it all. It's not the money that solidifies anything. It's your understanding. It's your literacy of understanding money, and even being literate in handling money, managing money, sustaining money. You have to think about that from an owner's mindset. I mean, let's just talk about, Mike Tyson, since that's relevant right now, right? We're talking about boxing that's going on. And Clarissa Shields right now, just amazing boxer, right? So we're paying attention to female boxing. We looked at Mike Tyson, that's also just boxed, had a match with Jake Paul. Like, so it's relevant. So let's just talk about, Mike Tyson was once the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, like undisputed, just seemed invincible, right? Just amazing, all the way at the top. And he earned over $400 million during his career. And for several reasons, I'm sure, right? Several reasons, I'm sure. Mismanagement, obviously, or there was no honesty in it, or was selfishness in it, who knows? But whatever caused it had to be mismanagement, because if it wasn't, if things were managed, it wouldn't have been a loss. I'm sure lavish spending and, of course, legal troubles that drains people's pocket. He ended up declaring bankruptcy back in 2003, I believe, and owed a lot of debt, millions of dollars in debt. And this is someone, again, that earned millions and millions and millions of dollars. So it's not just the dollars that would just change people's lives. When you don't have money, and we're thinking from a scarcity standpoint, we believe that money is what's going to fix everything. And as they always say, money's not going to fix everything. What it's going to do is amplify more of what is there. So if there is a lack of an ownership mindset, having more money gives a person opportunity to amplify that mindset of lack of ownership. They will obviously do reckless spending. They would have people all around them that won't help level them up. Mismanagement. They will feel obligated to help everyone make it, everyone around them, just as if money will not eventually disappear, and it will. So like we just said with Mike Tyson, we clearly seen that millions and millions and millions of money, dollars was lost. That's a lot of money. But it's never enough money to compensate for having a lack of ownership mindset. There's just not enough money for it. So I want you to think about, what does ownership mean to you? If you're an athlete, if you're an entertainer, as a business owner, what does ownership mean to you? And to be honest with you, especially in these times, in these days right now, even if you're working a 9 to 5 or you're working more than 40 hours, it is imperative for you to have something that you own on the side, whatever that may look like. You may own something that requires some time if you have time to give. We have 24 hours in a day. We have 7 days a week. You multiply that, see how much is put towards you working a specific job, how much is left for you sleeping, recreational, if that's it, and how much do you have left to invest in owning something? If you have a lot of time, then put your time into owning something. If you find that you don't have a lot of time to give something, start saving up to invest in something that does not take your time, doesn't take operation. It is more passive. So if that means investing in real estate, if that means investing in understanding and learning about, investments of stocks and other things, do something to build pieces of ownership into something, or owning something and, elevating on that. It is really important. It is just really important right now for that to be done. But if you are an athlete, if you are, an entertainer, and of course, as a business owner, I just want to just talk about some really important things that, you should be focusing on. You should not be continuing to go down a road offering services unless you're looking at personal branding, meaning, controlling your image, controlling your voice, controlling your likeness. So that's your name, image, and likeness. You got to make sure that you have control over that, because if you do not, someone else does. I promise you that. We see so many different stories time and time again when people finally do get the ownership mindset and they realize what they should have done. The one thing they come back to is fighting to get their name, their image, or their likeness. In addition to that, we're talking about other intellectual property, your trademarks, your copyrights. What does that look like? And you have to read the fine print in contracts to understand all of that. You have to not just read the fine print in contracts to stand on all of that, but you have to make sure, because a lot of times we have these verbal conversations and we do not memorialize the conversations. Sometimes people don't do it because they just trust whoever they're dealing with for whatever reason, probably relationship, maybe family, longtime friends. Sometimes people don't do it because they just believe the old school way is your word's supposed to be your word. Your word is your bond. I'm not going to memorialize this. There's plenty of times I talk to people who actually feel offended by being asked to put something on paper. All of those reasons I just gave are not reasons to not memorialize anything that's verbal. The number one thing I tell my clients is it is important to do a contract, not because you distrust someone, not because of all the reasons that someone can give. You need to do a contract because first and foremost, you're entering into this transaction whatever it may be, from an owner mindset. Owners, that's just what they do. And to be respected and perceived as being a true owner, then you move like one. Secondly, entering into a contract is because as human beings, sometimes we forget, or we may think we understand something while we're speaking about it. And then actually we're thinking two different ways. So putting something down on paper or memorializing it in whatever manner you choose to do so, it helps us, if we forget something, to pull something back out to remind us this is what it was. It's not his story, her story, it's the story. We pull that out and there's no second guessing. Secondly, the miscommunication, it's always caught on paper. When you're having a conversation verbally, as soon as it's memorialized and both parties are reading it, then that's when you discover, wait, that's not what I understood. I understood us to mean this, or I understood us to mean that. But once we write it down, all of a sudden it's very clear that we were not on the same page. Because before someone does sign something, who do read stuff, they're going to be very careful now about what they thought they understood. So that's why it's also important to, make sure you memorialize what you're actually going to do. And not just that, but in a contract, you want your legal protections. When we establish business entities, one of the things that we regurgitate all the time, and sometimes that is the problem, we're just regurgitating something instead of really understanding what we're saying or why we're saying it. When we establish businesses, we say we're establishing business to protect ourselves. So I want to ask you, what are you actually protecting? When you say that, what do you understand that you're actually protecting? Do you even understand how a business entity protects you? Do you really understand the concept of your business assets being separated from your personal assets? But just like establishing a business entity for those reasons, and hopefully you understand them, if not, really start digging deep, that's another reason to have a contract, legal protections. You're going to protect your copyrights, your trademark. You're going to protect your legacy in a contract, because those words in black and white is laying out parameters, what can and cannot be done, rights and obligations. So that means you will either protect or you will give up. But something's going to be done, and that's why contract is very important, and more so for you to actually read it. And then lastly, another one is just now with the time we're in, the era we're in, the way we're really moving is social media, digital assets, like understanding how to leverage online platforms to build lasting brands. Going back to what I mentioned a little earlier about, even if you work a 9-to-5, even if you're, doing whatever, find a way to own something. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, again, once you manage your time, this hands-on thing. What about owning something and utilizing social media and building digital assets to building a lasting brand? Create something where it's working for itself. So I'm gonna give you an example. I have an online course. I have several online courses, but I just released an online course right now. Speaking of trademarks, I released an online course to empower legacy builders on how to protect or federally protect their trademarks. You already have one. You can come to me as an attorney, of course, that does that. Everyone cannot. So what I did was create a course for those who need access but may not have the financial means to learn how to actually go through the process of federal trademark protection, from clearance search to submitting the application, all of the things. I created a course. That is my digital asset. Once I put that time into creating that course, and now it's out there, and it's out there for however many millions of people will sign up for that course, I'm not doing anything else. So I looked at my time, managing my time, and know that not only am I helping others build, sustain, and protect their ownership, I'm also building ownership. And I'm doing it with digital asset. And I know I can't, as an attorney, I can't serve millions and millions and millions of people physically. I don't have that time, right? None of us do. It's impossible to manage. And so looking at my time and still wanting to achieve my goal, legacy goal for myself and for those who I can impact and inspire and empower, I created a digital asset. That is ownership. And so those are the things that, we really should be looking at. You really should be looking at. If you're an athlete, if you're an entertainer, and especially if you are entrepreneur, solopreneur, you have to start looking at things from an ownership perspective. And so this was the first show. I want to just wanted to pop in, keep it short and sweet, give you a taste of where we'll go each week. I will send out alerts moving forward. Obviously, most people who will see this one will probably see a recorded version of it. But even no matter when you come, whether you're live or you're seeing it afterwards, you're going to feel what Seek ELLAvation experience is going to be about. And I'm excited. I can't wait for it to grow, get deep conversations. I will be inviting individuals to, join me on stage to talk about the topics of that time. I will also, as we grow, look at the viewers, the listeners, and invite individuals on the stage to either share stories, ask questions, or just give their comment, their feedback. We can learn from each other. So I am very excited. I am happy to have kicked off this first one. When I do the show, it will probably be, depending on if we have a guest or not, it will be at 7, but it will probably be for about an hour or hour and a half, depending on what the topic is, how much engagement we have, and again, if we actually have guests. So thank you so much for tuning in to this first ever live stream of Seek ELLAvation. And I can't wait for many more to elevate, inspire, empower. Make sure you share. If you get this, you come across it, make sure you share. The more we share, the more we grow. The more we grow, the more other people know. And until next time, stay empowered.